Tico.
Okay, we're live now.
God damn.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to episode 7 of League Down Under's 2021 Rebirth. I think it needs to go back to the bin after that start. We're back here again after 2 weeks. A bit of a hiatus. We had a bit of a break, so, it's been a while. But first off, hope you had a great Easter. I know we all had a great Easter, playing video games all weekend and eating a lot of chocolate, as per usual. But yeah, so here we are, back going strong again off our 2-week break. We've had amazing circuit action still going on so far as we're going up for the final week before finals. So we're going to go into a deep dive of that very shortly for this episode. And once again, we're joined by most of the people here that just love being here all the time. They absolutely love being here. I know Weapon definitely does. The others, they're just dragged here because I don't have a choice, really, at this point. First off, it is Tico, once again, returned back in his co-host spot as Rhaegor's contract is up. He did meet that week quota, so he's gone. So we've got Tico back. Tico, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm great. I feel good after a rejuvenated contract. I got a new one. This is my second one with LDU, so they really wanted me to stay, and I guess they're paying me enough to do so now. So
Yeah, so talking about money, yeah, definitely. That's what's happening here. Weapon, once again, 3 weeks in a row, 4 weeks in a row, I think. Welcome back. Always lovely to have you here, my man. Always giving us all the great info. The only person that takes this podcast seriously, I think, which is great because someone has to, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to, so
absolutely not. I hate this show so much.
And once again, I'm always here to make it wholesome. So.
and the return as well of Midnight. I haven't had him for a couple of weeks. He's back finally. He's used up the 101 Excuses book, so we got him back now.
Okay.
Midnight, welcome back.
Yes, the excuse of I was having foot surgery apparently doesn't fly anymore.
No. You know you're sitting, right? You're sitting down.
Yeah.
You don't need your feet.
Yeah, use your voice and a microphone. You don't need feet. Quite that out of context. There you go. We're back here for episode 7. Like I said, I had a 2-week break so far. I'm going to be covering the week 8 coverage of the Circuit Invitational with Summoners Society. We also got another fun game mode happening towards the end. The draft session was a lot of fun, but we want to keep hold of that and not burn that out. So I've got another fun game here. I'm not going to say the name of the show just yet because I'm going to try my hardest not to bring it up until I absolutely have to because I fucking despise it. So
I regret nothing of what I
What happened
created.
is plan the show 10 minutes beforehand.
It's so bad. But, if you want to catch up with Ladies League down on episodes, if you haven't, been sick to death of episode 6 being on repeat for the past 2 weeks, you can do so over on the Summoner Society YouTube channel where we've got the other VOD uploads for the 2021 season. And of course, we're still available on Spotify, our official Spotify there as well. We have all the latest audio episodes. Big thank you to everyone that's been tuning into all the episodes as well. For quite a few people asking when we're going to get the next episode out and really keen to get episode 7 out. So we're finally here now. Thank you very much for your continued support, ladies and gentlemen. And like we said, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, and all the other audio services as well. Which, time to do this one again, boys, because I haven't done this in a while. So here we go. Breaker, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, let's go. Or every audio service available now except for SoundCloud, because we haven't done that one yet.
I don't think SoundCloud is a podcast website, is it?
It's an audio service, right?
I thought we were on Spotify.
We are on Spotify. It's SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. Okay, SoundCloud. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, not on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
That's
Groove
another.
Shark.
That's a
We're on
different.
Groove Shark. Rest in peace,
Oh,
Groove
no.
Shark.
Oh yeah,
Groove Shark, man. What do we do?
that's a
Other day.
throwback.
Yeah, we're not on LimeWire or FrostWire, unfortunately.
Oh god, don't remember that.
It would have
Jeez.
been a while ago.
They can get old.
Maybe you, Torrent. We got on YouTube, probably.
No.
Probably not. I'd say probably not at this point. After all the, all the court cases, I don't think so. I mean, you can check. Weapon's giving us a good check now. He's the one
I
that
checked and it said discontinued because I know Kazaa was it went semi-legit.
Yeah,
A thing where you could actually buy content, but I guess that's dead now.
Yeah. So we've got Spotify now. Who needs any others, right? We've got Spotify and all the other services we went through. So hope you guys continue to check us out and support us. As we all jokes aside, we love doing this show. I say all jokes aside as Tico does a bit. So there you go. We can never have a serious moment here, and that's what's so great about our show. But guys, so to our first segment here, of course, the Invitational Circuit. It's been a couple weeks, obviously, since our latest episodes, so quite a bit has happened. I want to say a lot of major shit has gone down over the past couple weeks here. A lot of it bad, but some of it good also. We've lost one of our teams, which we'll get to in a short moment, and that's obviously changed the whole face of how the ending, I want to say, of the regular season will go here for the Invitational Circuit. Of course, if you've been keeping up to date, you'll probably already know about a lot of this stuff anyway, but I thought it's worth bringing up if maybe you listening at home, watching at home, don't know about the current changes here so far. First things first, guys. I think let's just get it over and done with, right? Kraken, unfortunately, no longer being here with us. Very sad. Definitely very, very sad. Obviously, our split 2 champions of the 2020 season, one of the orgs that has stuck with us in pretty much, I think, every circuit we've had so far. One of the most recognizable amateur, I would say, grassroots OCE teams as well. It's really sad to see these guys no longer with us because they're no longer being able to get that roster together.
And I'm a little bit sad that we're not going to be seeing players like Mad Skills, Saberus, Real Opal, Poro. They're not going to be with us anymore, at least for this split anyway. These guys gave us a show. They did. They really did. They gave us entertainment. And I'm just, the nostalgia is tearing me down, man.
This is an MCOM guy, by the way.
He is the income guy. Yeah, it sucks. It'll be interesting to see what the team looks like in next split because I have no doubt they're going to be invited again and they'll put together another roster. Because, like, they're one of those teams we talk about where they're kind of just like, if they want to put together a roster, they can probably do it. They just put the message out and be like, Kraken are hiring. Come in droves.
Yeah, but I mean, Kraken dropping out, yeah, it sucks. But and I'll be the callous one here. Has it changed much? Like in terms of when you look at the standings, I don't really think it's had a ton of impact because Kraken, to be putting politely, they struggled. They really struggled in Split 1 here. So, like, yeah, it sucks that we've lost them, but it doesn't really change the race to be in that top 6 right now.
Midnight's trying to steal my villain role by the looks of it, by being a dick. So that's fine. But no, seriously though, like you're not wrong. Like obviously they did have a bit of a shocker of a season, but the thing was they still had the opportunity to come back. We've seen it with Dissonance, which we'll get to a little bit later tonight. Saw it with the Weeknight Warriors. You know, we've seen it with a lot of these lower teams where we thought they were done with, and all of a sudden now they're still well in contention to being able to qualify into that top 6, going off of the results of this past week, for week number 8, going to week number 9, going the results off there. If they're able to win a game, if other teams are able to, like, if they lose or drop games as well, it's still so very, very close where we might have still been able to get them in the top 6, especially, you know, when Kraken's one of those teams, they said themselves, we said as well, they're always the team that can do the run back, right? They're always a team that can always turn things around, always get themselves in the finals. I mean, we saw it even last year for them to take it out, the Cinderella run they had, right? So it is a big shame they're no longer with us here. But obviously, like Rem said as well, they'll obviously be invited back here to Split 2. The name alone carries so much weight as well. So should be expecting to see these guys back for Split 2. But you know, now only down to 9 teams. So we can't have our 5 matches a night anymore. Can't have an even amount of matches. So, of course, admins did a lot of the tiring work in the background for the Invitational Circuit to get things organized going forward. So first things first, obviously only 4 games a night now, so the usual 5. So some of the teams have had week breaks. They do get that free winner for the bye coming through. But, you know, I think it's been a good... Well, actually, I want to get your guys' opinion on this as well, because I think it's been a good and a bad thing for these teams, right? Like having that week break, being able to, I guess, rejuvenate, look over what they've done over the season and go from there. But a lot of the teams that seem to have getting these buys are, again, all these mid-tier or low-tier teams that were starting to get momentum, starting to get things going. And then they've just had a week break and they kind of lose that. And you've seen the results of not having, I guess, the momentum there in their matches they come back in the following weeks, right?
Well, I don't necessarily think that it's the cause and effect of we get a break and then we lose a game. I think that it's just more like where they're at in terms of like how their mental state in terms of like the teams they play against. Because who had the bye week 7?
That was Era.
Yeah. So Era, they're going up a team against Dissonance, and Dissonance have been like in week 8. Dissonance, they've come out a little bit stronger. Like ever since they sort of changed their mindset of we don't really care anymore, and we're just gonna play what's comfortable and it's gonna work. Dissonance have become so much stronger since then, and I think Era coming out of their week break, their week hiatus, have discovered that Dissonance is a hard team to beat now. And I don't think it's because they took their break that they lost the game. It's because the team that they're playing against is just not a team that you want to be playing against right now.
I mean, in a way, I think Era probably didn't look at Dissonance with much fear, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
Dissonance, they've been struggling. And it was week 6 where I think they claimed their second win of the tournament. Like, or when it was first week, sorry, where they claimed their first win. Like, that's not a team you look at coming into it like, oh, they're finally getting a couple of wins under their belt. But that's not a team you spend that week off going, okay, we gotta be really ready when we run to the distance. Like, that's not what you're really ready for. So I kind of expect it, not inherently the week off to be bad, as Tico's saying, but more just Era maybe wasn't ready or not respecting Dissonance to the level they should have, and obviously they were clapped for it, didn't they?
I think an interesting point about the bye is it probably affects the teams who don't like these teams that feel like they're a bit more like pickup teams.
Yeah.
They're kind of like individual players who've been put together by maybe a manager or something. Whereas like your organizations like the Weekend Warriors, who we know are more of a project where they're scrimming week in, week out, and often scrimming against like LCO teams. Like these teams don't suffer in the bye, but teams where you kind of have to be more motivated and practice yourself, which feels like maybe Arrow do fit that mold. Maybe they do lose some momentum heading into a week after a bye. Maybe that is the reason why they come in a little bit less drilled against a team like Distance, who I think they're on the rise. Like, if we're going to talk about them, we will later. I think this is a team with a lot of upshot, and we're starting to finally see it.
And that's what I think the main point, or maybe not point, but I guess topic of the season has been just how up and down all the teams have been, how close the season has been. Like one minute you got a team that's doing really, really well. The next minute they've just shit the bed, and the following minute they're back to being on top again, right? And it's just been like this for a lot of the teams, or even the teams where they've shown a lot of promise, right? And they've been very, very strong, and then they kind of drop off, and then maybe come back a bit later. So,
and all it takes is Midnight endorsing a team.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true. That is very true. Don't worry, we'll get to that. That's game one. We'll get to that. That's you can say something now, Midnight, if you want. Like you can.
No,
say something.
I feel like everything that needs to be said has been said on the Warriors Twitter.
Yeah.
To be honest, I feel like that's all that needs to be said. The gift from I think it was week 7. I think it was.
Yeah.
Like that gift that they used there just sums up quite nicely how I'm feeling.
Yeah, don't worry for the people that aren't in the know. We'll catch up with that when we get to the week 8 coverage because that continued into the following week, by the way. So absolutely fantastic job here from Midnight once again. At least he's on point. At least he's on point with the curses, right? When he wants one, it happens. Or maybe he doesn't want one, it still happens. Maybe it's not on point now that I think about it. The problems of no soul. It's a tough life. But yeah. That's what I'm saying. It kind of wraps up like a lot of the news and stuff happening from there. Like I said, 4 games now. Obviously, Kraken no longer being with us, games getting buys. I should mention, of course, that any of the matches, that's why they get the buys as well as any of the matches they would have had, as obviously has been cleared up and everything's okay. The only question mark I have is the only game that Kraken won, which is against Weeknight Warriors, which that one game might actually stop the Weeknight Warriors and being able to have a chance to get to top 6, which is very, very rough. You're definitely gonna have to feel bad for those boys if that ends up being the case. But of course, we'll have to see what happens with the results for week number 9 because anything can happen. There's still so many cards left on the table here for all of this at the moment. And I thought I should quickly bring up as well, coming into these last 2 weeks of the finals, obviously week 6, which is where our last episode was going to be covering there. Was a very rough all round with giant league client issues, not just league, but a lot of, I want to say, server issues all around Oceania. For some certain servers going down from a certain location, certain company, whatever, how far you want to get into it. So we only got 2 matches got to be played on that stream. So if you did miss the results for those week 6 games, because a lot of those were played off camera, we don't actually have the recordings, unfortunately, only the results. But Era did take out QUT, which was huge coming through here as well. Of course, Era, that's when they were on that up and up, taking out one of the top teams. That's when I saw the first signs of QUT faltering, I want to say, towards the end of the season. Weekend Warriors beat MCOM when they were continuing their flawless run there. Not really too surprising. And Dissonance obviously getting the win against Kraken, which might have been the final nail in the coffin for Kraken losing out. 'Cause obviously the final is when we did lose them. Very unfortunate, but we'll have to hope these guys can come back for not the next week, for the next split, I should say. And of course, finals coverage as well. Best of 3 to the quarters and semis, best of 5 for grand finals as per usual. I know we're still 1 week away. We're on the final week, I want to say, coming up before the regular season finals after that. But I know a lot of us are already super keen to see some of these best of 3s and 5s happening when the best of 1s have been so close. Like, how do we think we're going to see the best of... I want to say best of 5 is a whole other beast, but best of 3s at least for some of these teams. I think some teams might have more of an advantage over others. I don't know, Nightstar, who was one of our special guest commentators, you guys might have seen quite a bit in our circuit before. Definitely brought up, I think, a great point last week where a lot of these teams, where they have, like, say, the bigger rosters and these bigger champion pools, are going to have such a big advantage. Basically the more established orgs are going to have, I think, more of a better chance against some of these teams who have kind of come together last second.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, as you mentioned, there are teams like Weeknight Warriors who've got 10 people on their roster, or 10 people that have played currently throughout the split. 420 Big Butch being the one that's played, the first 3 weeks. And then we've got teams like Dissonance, who've only... Well. Yeah, Desire is one of... Well, Desire, they've had...
I think they got like a 5-man roster, and that's it, I'm pretty sure. They might have one sub. Maybe
Desire have had 7 people play, but Dissonance have had 6. So, in comparison, Dissonance with their 6 players and Weekend Warriors who've got their 10-player roster, it's going to be really hard for a team like Dissonance to be able to mount up against, not only in terms of skill like we've seen so far from the Weeknight Warriors have the 10-man roster, but just in terms of the skill level difference that we've seen so far, as well as just the unpredictability of putting someone else in as a substitute in Game 2 and Game 3, just throwing a spanner in the works, making sure that clanks around in the head of teams like Dissonance is going to be such a pain if they do mount up to each other in the semifinals, quarterfinals.
I think the other thing I want to kind of look at as well is, besides, like, obviously you can sub players out. I think even if you sub a player in before a series starts, and that's going to change up your draft plan if you are a team who prepares your opponents. I think the main one I want to look at when it comes to best of anything is actually going to be the QUT Tigers. Yep. I think a lot of these teams, a lot of the teams in our circuit, while they are very, very good, they feel very one-dimensional. Like, you've got your weekend Warriors of the world who, you've got it's the Refury show, whereas other teams really feel like they're centered around that one carry, and they kind of build around that carry. QUT feel like one of the few teams in our circuit who really are like a pentuple threat, if you will. Like, every single role can carry for them, and I think, like, going into best of series where drafts are going to matter even more and more, like, having more looks you can pull out in draft is going to be huge for this team, and I want to see other teams step up to that level and actually have other players in their roles, like, respectively step up and carry where the pressure might be.
You can't get too caught up in best of 3 and best of 5 drafting things, because I think it's important. Like, and if you've got a massive roster like the QUT and the Weekend Warriors, then yeah, you can play these mind games. But sometimes, and I'm a fan of this mentality, the simple things are the best. And for example, the other team that's sitting in first place right now, ZY, their drafting isn't some over-the-top fancy mind game. Their drafting isn't some, we gotta make sure that they don't ban this so we can pick that so we can... It's not some fancy mind game. It's not chess, all right? It is literally like a boxing match of, okay, let's give Blue a carry. Let's get... it's a very simple draft, which means not only is it pretty flexible in that there's multiple champions that fit the roles, but they don't need to be fancy because they've got the mechanics to back it up. They know what they're coming into it, and they don't care what you're going to bring to the table. They're confident enough, as they've shown before, that no matter what you bring, they're going to be able to take you down. Like, we saw Weekend Warriors try to pull something out, and unfortunately, this wasn't enough.
Yeah, and just to add on to that as well, like, there's a popular term that you've been hearing throughout your life, which is consistency is key. And, like, if you come up against a team that is consistent throughout, who have their consistent wins, I mean, even though they might not have an unpredictable, like, pick and ban phase, they play the champions they're comfortable on. They're going to wreak havoc if they're played well.
I think ZYZZ is like one of those perfect teams to bring up. Of course, he split one 2020 Invitational Circuit champions. I know Formal's been bringing up the past weeks as well as one of those teams that, I feel like maybe some of us we haven't slept on them, I want to say, but we've definitely not given them as much, I want to say, as a highlight as what we probably should have done, just because I have had a bit of a wavy. Okay, hang on, Midnight. Now, I didn't name anyone in particular, so if you're getting salty about that, that's on you, bud. I think that's on you. But I think it is true that because of just the dominance of QET, the dominance of the Weekend Warriors, the runs they had week after week after week after week, right? We kind of did forget a little bit about ZYZZ a tiny bit. I'm not saying entirely, I'm just saying a tiny bit. And now they're starting to show up towards, honestly, the end of the season. It's very reminiscent of, I guess, the ZYZZ that we're used to seeing from last year, right? Especially from the split one side of things. And I think now that maybe a lot of these teams are getting used to, say, obviously the new champs and items that just completely change the face of the game for League of Legends coming through, and are getting more used to, say, again, you guys talking about the drafts as well. I mean, we're seeing it with Dissonance, right, where they've just gone the mentality of just saying, fuck it, let's just go for it, and it's working for them amazingly well, and it could continue to be like that even going to our final week, right? The best of sets are going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting, I see, to see which team's going to prioritize, I guess, that more, I want to say, professional, competitive style of the perfect draft and yada yada, and the teams just go, well, we're just going to play it we enjoy, and if it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. Let's go from there, because I don't think teams are going to deliberately drop lives, but they do have that option if they want to try and, I guess, maybe force an enemy team strategy out that they can capitalize and get 2 wins in a row back to back, right? I mean, it's a possibility, and having the best of sets, there's so many strategies that can be involved in it that we're all super keen to see how things go underway. And speaking of, I think it's time we start covering week number 8 as well, now that we've talked a little bit about some of the previous weeks here. The week 8 matches were awesome all around. Weekend Warriors, ZYZZ, Week Night Warriors, QET, MCOM and Exile, and Dissonance and Error. So we're going to cover 2 of the big matches here, the Weekend Warriors versus ZYZZ and Dissonance versus Error. QET taking out Weeknight, MCOM not only taking out Exile, but knocking Exile entirely out of their chances to get into the finals. Of course, a little bit upsetting for the Exile guys. We hope to see him kind of bounce back here and see if we can see him again in Split 2, of course, with our man Hedgie. Obviously going to be with them from the start this time and not 3/4 way through the season, and having, I want to say, a very strong coaching staff towards the end of the season. Hopefully they can help them from the beginning this time and see where they can go here. Of course, this is only their first split being here in the circuit, so it's keen to see where these guys go moving forward. But look about the team still involved, guys, coming in. Weekend, ZYZZ, probably with the biggest match of week number 8. What a banger, I want to say, from the start, straight away. An absolute slugfest on both sides. Of course, Midnight, you weren't here for this one. We'll get to you in a minute. All right, you can sit and time out for a minute because we'll get to you. All right, we'll get to you. But Tico, Weapon, obviously you guys are around. I know, Weapon, you've definitely been deep diving on these games a bit yourself as well. How about draft coming here first? We've got the drafts up here. The actual pick order these teams went for. Outside of Olaf just getting absolutely clowned on by the casters in the green room while we're waiting to watch, it was absolutely hysterical, having a laugh with that. He actually did show up in the end. And I don't think Weekend Warriors were expecting, I want to say, the power of ZYZZ this match, especially as the game went on.
Well, I mean, this is the sort of draft that we were talking about earlier, where it's Team ZYZZ just pulling off what they normally do, and Weekend Warriors just trying to pull off something tricky. And they did. They put the Tristana in the mid lane with Rear Fury, which he did really well on, by the way. 17-4 he ended on. However, his team was a little bit too heavy. He felt the full weight, or the full force of 5-man roster. Weekend Warriors, 9-man roster. And I've never liked a Blitzcrank in competitive play. He does really well early on, but then he falls off really quickly. Every single time I've seen a Blitzcrank in competitive play, it just hasn't worked out for them towards the mid-late game. He's okay, I see the face.
Were we watching the same game? Because that was ridiculous, that game.
But did they win?
So, they didn't. And, I'll let you finish your point. Please, go ahead.
He's really good for pick composition. Their composition wasn't necessarily a pick. They had Syndra, who's got quite a bit of CC. They got Malphite, who does an AoE CC as well. Volibear dives on the back line. He's got a massive AoE. Well, not massive. He's got a tiny AoE ultimate, but he gets huge. Disruptive. Jungler. And then they got a Blitzcrank. I just don't see a world where that's going to fit in terms of, like, other than taking the Jinx out of the fight, which, I mean, he did like once or twice. He just wasn't able to be as impactful to the same standard as the rest of his team. Banished is a great player. I just don't think a Blitzcrank really fit in there.
Yeah, I'll pay that. Like, yeah, maybe there's a world where that's a center and it has more overall team fight impact. But he made the pick look ridiculous. Landed so many grabs, kept the team in. He was basically the reason it felt like he was the reason that they were ahead of the game so much. Him and Refury were just absolutely insane. I think just as far as like the draft goes, like this is it. It really does show the tendencies of the Weekend Warriors. Like I was saying, like this is a team where it's just Refury in the mid lane, everyone else builds around it. Like you, even to the point where you're not letting Mad Maximo, or Mad Maximo is willingly not playing AD carries so that he can be the long range engage that they need for the Syndra to set people up. That's very cool, and they nearly did it. And I think where things fell down for this team, and I was like VOD reviewing this game like double speed before the show, and I'm like really sad that I didn't get to watch it in normal speed because this game is an absolute fucking banger. Where this went wrong for the Weekend Warriors was the hesitation in how they wanted to close this game out. There were moments where, like for example, there was a fight around the Baron where Blue teleported in, and instead of sticking on the Baron, they turned and killed Blue. And it was just immediate, like, we need to get rid of this guy. And then it happened like 3 times in the base where they could have played it slowly. They have like incredible range with the Tristana. They have long range engage with the Syndra to kind of zone people out. Blitzcrank can be a threat. They could have played slowly. They could have played calm. But instead, they kept stepping up into Blue's range, and Blue just did what Blue did. And like, yes, it's a hard situation to be in. You've got a team comp that's basically just outscaled you at that point, but it felt like it was very desperate at the end. Like there was a real sense of like, we're getting outscaled in this game. We need to win this, where a moment of like calm would have absolutely have unfortunately just won them the game. And it's hard to really look back on. It's probably as a team, I imagine they're probably like, we know the project for the Weekend Warriors is strong. They've got coaches. They got Arsh and Flop. Like, they probably watched this game back and they were just like, what could we do here, guys? Like, this sucks.
I'll let you out of timeout now, Midnight. Okay, I'll let you out of time.
Yeah, am I allowed to talk, or is that going to curse?
No,
is that
you're
going to
good.
bring more curse?
No, you're good. You're okay. You're okay. As long as you don't actually flat out say anything that'll curse the team.
Okay, I will do my best.
He's about to do like black speech.
Yeah, basically.
So, I didn't get to watch it live, which is heartbreaking. But the things again, I'm just going to look at it compositionally, right? Because I think the big thing about how it was played out is, as Weapons already said, the end of the game, they just got overzealous. They knew they were being outscaled. And the point of drafting is that scaling. Like, it's not unsurprising, I should say, to see a good scaling comp at a ZY, right? They've given Blue a Vladimir, which scales insanely well. They give him Bam and Orianna, which is a typical Orient to Syndra matchup, and Orianna has always been Orianna. She'll always scale. And then you've got arguably one of the strongest late game hyper carries right now in the bottom lane in that Jinx. It's a beautiful draft, which pretty much says, look, if you don't kill us in 30, 35 minutes, we're going to run you over because you can't lock down our team fight, right? Like, it's ridiculously strong. And then, as we talked about, the Refury show was good, but just not enough. You can't have... Like, a Tristana is a fantastic champion, but not if you don't give her time to work. So, and that's why we saw, I believe it was like 2-3 fights inside CY's base where the Weekend Warriors just couldn't close the damn thing out.
And it's so uncharacteristic, right, to see Weekend Warriors like this. I believe even Iano said himself in the player interview that they shouldn't have won that match. So like they were confused as to how they would turn it around because, I mean, Refuri's Quadra for a start was insane, just without the pennant, very upsetting, but sad to see that. But I think that one of the highlight points there is what you brought up, Weapon. It's just Blue on this Vladimir. Just how insane he was on the Vladimir in the end. And we were going on, we were watching the game. The going joke was, again, I want to say the Ola thing brought up, well, how does this pick fit into it? ZYZ don't have a front line, really, like not like the Malphite and the Volibear. I want to say on the start of Weekend Warriors, they had such a good game. It's just like them not being able to close like this is something we talk about for the weeknight Warriors, not the weekend Warriors, not the main team. This is a sister team issue. But now it seems like it's spreading into Weekend Warriors. I don't want to exactly say that just yet. It's only been 1 week. But when they go up against one of these top name teams and they're having issues, and of course, a week 9 match, they're going up against the other top name team as well. Could this be something that we might be seeing in finals, that we could once again be seeing a weekend 3rd place or 4th place spot for a 3rd year in a row?
I really think that the Weekend Warriors have the potential, and we've seen that they've got the potential to be able to play like this. Like, there's no doubt that they are one of the top contenders in this current tournament, in this current split.
Yeah.
The main problem, well, not the main problem, but one of the problems that we saw them facing up against teams was their focus fire on blue. Like, Vladimir's a slippery champion. Like, you get a dive on him, you got a Malphite ultimate, you've got Blitzcrank going to hook him as well. Sanguine Pull, I'm out. Peace, right? He goes golden as well if he wants to, because Vladimir things. And on top of that, he's got so much sustain, and he does damage on top of that as well from his sustain abilities. Like, at that point, Blue's not necessarily the person you want to be focus firing. There are priorities, like Blue's Vladimir is something you want to take out, but I don't think that in the larger scheme of things that he's going to be your first target to focus fire. And I think that if Weekend Warriors recognize coming up against QT their main priority target based around their composition, then they'll be able to win the game against QT.
And not to mention, just real quick as well, how Iana was basically untouched at the end of the game with Jinx as well, which is what I brought up, just how Jinx was just... And Iana played Jinx in their last game as well and went off. That's when we started seeing those crazy, like, Baron steals and Dragon steals with the HQ Ultimate with Jinx. Of course, we know that's a thing that's been for a couple of patches now. But even still, we were still the hype show on Iana with Jinx, and then he got him again 2 weeks in a row with this Mirage that we know Iana can play Jinx very, very well. So it's kind of like, what are you doing, Weekend Warriors? Like, what's going on here?
Jinx is sleeper. I mean,
Jinx is not a sleeper. We all know Jinx is. We all know Jinx is strong. You can't call.
Okay, no, she's gone under the radar though.
She hasn't. She's arguably the strongest AD carry right now when it
Okay.
comes to hyper carry scaling.
That's
You
fine.
can't say she's under the radar.
That's fine, but why is Kai'Sa still the highest pick ban rated AD carry in this current split?
All I'm going to say is look at the draft. No Kai'Sa. No Kai'Sa pick. No Kai'Sa ban from that last game. And I don't recall seeing her much of Monday at all.
Kai'Sa's been dropping off in the past.
Yeah, she was popular.
Don't worry. It was definitely the Kai'Sa show for, I think, the first 5 weeks. Absolutely. But in the past few weeks, Tristana and Jinx have been on top. You want one of those two. They're absolutely insane. The damage output, the siege potential as well for these champs. And we're seeing a lot of these teams now are opting... I don't want to say full-on protect the carry comps, but the way they've been playing, most of these guys are being untouched in the back lines, and the teams that are on the receiving end are paying dearly for it, for not really, I guess, respecting how strong these guys are at the moment.
Yeah, it's kind of like you were talking about the Vladimir being like not your focus fire target, but it's interesting because that's the role that Vladimir plays in competitive. Like, we talk about Vladimir when we... Like, often when we cast Vladimir, we talk about him as this form of pseudo engage, because the role of Vladimir is to basically flash forward, E primed, dump the ult on, and then just pull through. Like, you guys seen that meme? The melting gorilla, the chocolate gorilla. Yep. Have you seen the Vladimir version? It's like, quickly, kid, you don't have much time. You have to kill me, and then he's a pull. Yeah, like that's the role that Vladimir like covers in competitive. He is basically pseudo engage, where he creates a distraction. He creates a moment of panic where the Jinx gets to free fire, and it was really well navigated in the end by Ziz to actually put it together. And like, at this point, this team just feels like they have fucking plot armor. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Like, at the start of the season, you're right. We were like, this team, like, maybe they're not as good. Maybe everyone else is like rising up to their level. But like, this game was just such a testament to the fact that, like, not only are they good individual players, but it's always just the macro with this team. They always put the pieces in the places where they like the priority pieces get what they need to. There were so many fights in that game where I would look at Fury be getting like a quadra kill in the river. The Jinx is just top, just farming away, just constantly keeping that gold even. Then you look at the gold and it's just even the whole way. And like I feel like if Weekend Warriors could have seen the gold, they would have been tilted. They probably their opponents higher than them. They were just like, what do we have to do to put this team out of contention? It's ridiculous.
ZYZZ are definitely one of these teams we've always seen have been able to try and keep up with gold just off of farming and turtling alone, right? We've always seen that from these guys, and this was kind of just like a perfect showing of that, I want to say. It's probably one of the best times in a game I think I've seen them ever farm like this, especially when you consider, again, like we're talking about, they're taking on what was currently the top team in standings alone. In the circuit at the time, of course, with QT being 2 games down at that point and Weekend only being 1, this was the game, I guess. And we did talk about a couple weeks ago during the actual circuit where we said like Weekend, yes, they were still on top, but their most recent games have been getting shakier and shakier and shakier, and that's why I brought up before about, is this what we could end up seeing in the finals? Is this a big issue that has now become very, like, because again, Weekend Warriors, they were so perfect for so long, and now they're going, oh, hang on a minute, we're kind of dropping off a bit, and now it's really affecting them mentally, just because all of a sudden they've gone from on top, untouched, to we're having issues with dissonance, we're having issues with ZYZZ that we know we've had issues with in previous seasons. They were some of our biggest rivals, and when we're on top, all of a sudden it doesn't seem like it matters because ZYZZ is just going to come back and win it again anyway. Could this, and now QT going up against them next week as well. That's what I'm saying. Like, where's the mindset? Because this could drastically affect the outcome of Weekend Warriors split 1 season.
I think there's 2 ways for Weekend Warriors to tackle this, right? I think one, considering who their opponents are, because if you do look at the standings here, the Weekend Warriors, despite the last couple of weeks of a shaky showing, they're in finals. There's no 2 ways about that one.
Yep.
Them, QUT, and ZY are all in finals. Honestly, I think for Weekend Warriors, I wouldn't actually stress so much about this week's game. You're making finals no matter what. There is no point showing anything because you want to keep whatever strategies you've got in your back pocket in your back pocket.
Yep.
Have some fun with it this week. So it'll be harder to analyze them from our end, but that'll also mean that whoever they run into in finals, they're not going to know what the Weekend Warriors have been plotting up. And the other thing is, ban the Vladimir against QT on Monday, please. Like, you guys couldn't handle... Sharpblade doesn't seem to be... He often gets relegated to tank duty, so he's not allowed to punish the Vladimir in laning phase. And we know that QUT's top laners, because they run more than one, all love Vladimir. So just ban the Hemomancer, get him off the table, and give Sharpblade a lane where he isn't going to put his head through his keyboard in the first 10 minutes.
Or, if you want the Weekend Warriors to have fun, give Shardblade Vladimir.
Oh, God. He has become the very thing he has sworn to destroy.
But I think that wraps up our coverage here for the first game that we wanted to cover for week number 8 again. Definitely go check it out, guys. Go check out the VOD. It's an absolutely amazing match between 2 of our Titan teams that, again, we could be seeing finals gameplay in regular season just off of this match alone. It's absolutely insane. So go check it out. Definitely one of the best matches I think we've had so far this season. And time to get to game number 2 that we wanted to cover, Dissonance versus Error. And this was another game. This is another game that I think a lot of us, we felt like it kind of dragged out a bit, but definitely in Dissonance's favor, where they took this one very slow, definitely very methodical with their game. And with Aaron, we saw him trying to rise back up a bit. This was the last thing they wanted in their results, losing a match out here to Dissonance, who were at the bottom of the ladder and have now kind of just evened up, I want to say, like this bottom low tier half at the moment.
Yeah, it's not a position that Error wanted to find themselves in. But, I mean, I have to give a lot of credit to Dissonance for this one. They drafted a composition that was really dependent on getting somewhat of an early game lead. Because they had the Renekton, who did rather well. They drafted with a Xin Zhao, which Bose played beautifully, by the way.
Yep.
And the amount of impact that we saw from Bose around the lanes was incredible. Like he was I think the first gank we saw from him was level 3. He just came in, picked up a kill mid lane, if my memory calls correctly, and then from then on, Lanson had free reign over mid lane. Totarific couldn't really do anything because Akali was already at level 6, and Totarific, like I mentioned this during the pick and ban phase as well, Totarific has to muzzle Lanson pre-level 6 for there to be any impact of the Orianna past level 6 so that Akali really couldn't do anything about it. But no, Bose decided, nah, that's not happening. Lanson, we're going to get you some extra gold. We're going to inject you with, I think it's 100, 150 gold because Xin Zhao picked up the first blood. And that just sort of slingshot Lanson to do whatever he pleased, like teach a man to fish and he gets to feed himself for the rest of his life. And then it's just Dissonance taking the game from there.
Yeah, I really like Lanson, like as a player. Like every time I've seen this guy, I've been like, man, this guy has something. And like it's interesting because you look at his like just rank in general.
Yeah.
I think sitting in kind of diamond, and you know, obviously rank isn't everything, but you don't like look at this player and you're like, well, they're challenger, they're obviously going to slap. But like, there's something about this player every time I watch him where I'm like, this guy has something, and I'm glad we're finally getting to see it alongside Bose, who has. It feels like he feels like someone with OCS experience who has really been flying under the radar. And it's awesome to see him finally showing it. Obviously on this wacky Xin Zhao pick, which, by the way, I hate the build. He went for the super bow. I get it. It's like I absolutely get it. Build Stride Breaker on Xin Zhao. On the new Xin Zhao, it's absolutely toxic. It's so gross. That item has a 12-second cooldown, and Riot have decided that's okay. It's not. You hit the W, you E in, you get the knock up, you stride breaker them, and then by the time you've done that, your cooldowns are off rotation again, and you hit it again. You cannot escape from this guy if you build stride breaker. But Bo's popped off. Can't fault him the way he played, but the build, try the stride breaker. It's sick.
I'm gonna cut Weapon off before because this rant will never end if I don't like get ahead of him now. I know what he's like with Xin Zhao. I actually do want to quickly look at the other side of the scale for the side of Era. And more than anything, I actually want to look at Era's draft because I think Era's draft, like the champions they put together for the game, is actually phenomenal drafting coming out of Era. Like you've got early Scion Lilia, which I'm assuming that the image I've got is the way it was rostered. Is fantastic. Yep. They got access to the Jinx, which, as we've talked about before, is just ramping up in terms of popularity. She's a fantastic late game pick. And then pair it up with the Orianna, which, in my opinion, you can never go wrong picking an Orianna. Obviously, this game is a bad example to use that statement, but the point being that Orianna is usually such a good general pick that I love to see her. And then pair that up with a beautiful follow-up engage of the Alice. Like, I think the draft is arguably near perfect. Like, for what is considered really strong, for these players as well, it seems very appropriate for this draft. For me, I find it heartbreaking that they do lose this game with what I consider a phenomenal draft. So, hopefully, when we do get to see them in the future games, their drafting continues to be just really solid, and then they can shore up the little defensive things, like, of course, like we said, the Bo's first blood that really put Lanson online. Because as you said before, Tico, if Totarific doesn't die to that early gank, right? He keeps Lancer down, and that means Dissidents can't get their foot out of the door, which means that their entire team composition just sort of flaunches the early game instead of powers through it. So drafting is solid, and I just want to see, a little bit more safety maybe.
Yeah, which is why we didn't really fault Era with this game. Like, they played what they could against what they had, against the cards they had dealt against them. The reason why we're not faulting Era and we're more praising Dissonance is because Dissonance played to their win condition better. And they had the opportunity for their win condition before Era did, and Dissonance just took that opportunity and just decided to drive that home.
And also, I mean, the likes of Dissonance, they're once again putting the first step forward, their first foot forward, right? We're talking about for a few weeks how great Xin Zhao is, but we've not really seen him be picked up at all. And then in the final game, like, all right, let's bring out the Zin, right? Let's do it. Let's show the world. And he goes absolutely off as well. I want to say ZQ on Sivir. Again, another one of these 80 carries where if you don't get Jinx, you don't get Tristana, you get Sivir. And Sivir has two really great, strong builds at the moment. ZQ had a fantastic game on the Sivir, and it goes to show how strong she can be and how she works with a great team behind her as well, right? So you're getting these picks where, again, like as we mentioned, the Jinx and Tristana. Tristana was still on the table here. Still could have been a pick, but like, nope, let's go with the Sivir. Let's have that great ult engage to get everyone in, to get Nautilus in quicker, to get Renekton in quicker, to get Xin in quicker as well. Stop Orianna, stop the Jinx, stop the Zillia from being able to do anything. Sign and Alistair, screw them. We'll deal with them later. They don't matter to us anymore, right? Because we're able to just completely displace them, completely take control of the fight and control the game how we want to go forward, right? And it's great because, again, I think this was talked about in the player interview with these guys. So we had Chicken Soup with us. Again, how these guys are continuing with the mindset of throwing caution to the wind. They'll do what they want to do. If they win, they win at this point. If they lose, that's fine. They can get ready for split 2 that we know these guys are definitely still preparing for in the background. And now I kind of feel like at the moment, while they're still trying to qualify into that top 6, still trying to see if they can squeeze our way in, I definitely feel like this at the moment is a bit of a test bed at the moment, and trying to see if they can throw off as many teams as they possibly can that they're going up against as well for the end of the split 1 season.
Yeah,
Can I just say, I'm so glad that the League World has just collectively decided that the Dark Harvest, Manamune Sivir thing
Yeah.
is over. Like, it just... So it was there for a week, and then everyone just went, "No, this is trash. Crit Sivir is the way," and I'm so happy.
They're going to bring out fully lethality Sivir back.
Yeah.
And they know that
Oh,
right?
God, no.
It could be worse, Weapon. It could be the days of full lethality, Miss Bloody Fortune, right? I know it could be worse, but
I mean, yeah, I just like the build just never looked good. It was one of those weird things where like it must have been working in scrims for like some top level teams or something, because it looked awful on stage, and on stage for us.
Yeah.
I think maybe it won one game and looked okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, dog. But yeah, it looked okay in like one game, and then we never saw it really come to fruition in any other game, any other series, professionally or otherwise. And I just never understood it. Crit Sivir, the way.
I feel like there might be a chance to might see lethality Sivir there. I still think there's some people who are going to definitely try, but we'll have to see. Because I do know, like I said, there's an argument of like what Sivir's versing and what kind of justifies the crit build or what justifies the lethality build. Of course, I mean, if the players want to give it a go and they can make it work, good on them, obviously, if they can make that one work. But you make Weapon very upset or angry or both. I don't know which one works.
I mean, if you prove me wrong, I'll be happy. Like, sure. Like,
I'll be happy.
Yeah. Like, no, please do it. Like, prove me wrong. Man, what do I know? I'm a stupid analyst, right?
That's why we're here, and that's why you're there. But I do want to wrap things up here for this final game here, lads. Again, distance we talked about. How about Era coming through here as well? They've got their final game still being able to be played here for week 9. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But going off of this game, and I want to see some of their previous games as well. This is definitely, I want to say, one of the most rocky, shaky teams, probably next to MCOM as well. How do you think this final week season plays out for them? I mean, we haven't seen Selfish played in the team for the past couple of weeks, so could we see the return of Selfish in the mid lane and see if he can have, I guess, be that last shining beacon for Era to bring him back? Or do you think they might keep Toto here? I mean, they did pick up a great win in week number 7 with the sub they've got here at the moment, and there's still plenty of potential. Of course, Hyper, Suho, Keister's definitely been showing up, I want to say, this season as well. When we had those question marks surrounding him when they had that duo swap. What do you think these guys can do here in their final week?
Era, they can play against the big dogs. Like, we saw them in week 6 beat QUT Tigers. Like, we know that they have the capacity to do so. It's not like they're at the bottom because they suck, right? They have won a couple games against some of the big people. And so I think that with Totarific, might not be the key for them to be able to win the game, but it's definitely a component, because Totarific is the mid lane, is, some would say, the backbone of like the rest of the Summoner's Rift and the side of their team. So I think that if Era do want to win coming into week 9, they have to play through Terath because Terath is one of their big players early to mid game. And then see if Terath can sort of transition that in towards the AD carry or whoever they decide is going to be carrying that game. And then see if they're going to be able to push that towards a victory. Because I think Terath, with the right tools, has the capacity to be able to open the few doors for the rest of his team.
Yeah, Terath is a player I rate really highly. He's another one where I think like this is the person we're going to be seeing in LCO. If he sticks at it and wants to go pro, like this guy will. I think it's very interesting. This is a team where we were talking about like player swaps before and potential roster changes. I think that Era are probably the most interesting one out of the group because there's such a clear distinction between the two playstyles of the two mid laners. Selfish swapped from AD carry and said, I want to play the characters who have been killing me for the past 4 years. So all he plays is these AD assassin mid laners. Whereas Todorific has obviously been brought in because they needed some diversity in the role and they needed someone who was going to be a little more stable. I actually kind of want to see if they will have that player flex. That's a really interesting concept. If like halfway through a series, you've got a team that's prepped for Todorific who's like, okay, ban control mages against this guy. Selfish steps in. Suddenly Yone is a priority. Like, that's really cool. Maybe it happens.
I mean, the more I think about Era, and I feel kind of bad of saying this, but they're a team that isn't allowed to win the games that they're meant to win. And they lose the games that they're meant to I've been looking at some of their games recently. So they came out of nowhere to beat ZY in week 4, where I think everyone was expecting them to lose. Then they come out of nowhere and beat QUT in week 6, which again, no one was expecting. QUT had looked just undefeatable. But then 2 weeks later, they dropped to Dissidence? Like, it just feels very coin flippy. Oh, they're going to lose, so they win. Or they're going to win, so they lose. It's just so inconsistent. It's infuriating for me.
A long time ago, a young Jacob B. Southey met a wizard who said, all your hooks will land, but your results will be fucked.
I mean, you have to take into consideration the fact that Dissonance are like huge right now. They don't really care, and so they're playing however they want to play, and it's working really well for them. Just because Era lost to them doesn't mean that Era's bad. It just means Dissonance throw everything up in the air and say, hopefully one of these balls lands into the basketball net. And most of the time it does.
You don't play a lot of basketball, do you?
One of the balls is low-key one of the sleeper OP junglers in the patch, so
that's true.
Pretty good ball to throw up.
I'd like to bring up as well because this is something we talked about about 2 weeks ago now. I want to say we were talking about like how will Era prepare for their game against Dissonance. Like they had that week off, so maybe they could go over the crazy week that Dissonance brought to us in week number 6 and see what happens where they have that week break week 7, even week 7's game, I want to say as well. And then they came here and like, oh yeah, we've got a very strong draft, but when you've got Zen, when you've got Sivir, when you've got guys who are just throwing caution in the wind and they don't play safe, they go all in, and clearly that's working for them. It makes it very difficult, doesn't it? To kind of, I guess, strategize for that. But I'm very keen to see how Era goes because I still believe Era's got probably one of the biggest chances to still make a top 6 qualification. And what I'm worried about is one of our top teams you just mentioned, whether it be QUT, whether it be ZYZZ Hell, whether it be Weekend Warriors, they might actually have to put in all the research onto Era because Era is the one that's taken out 2 or 3 of the Titans as a mid-tier team. What are they going to do in a best-of-3 format? We've already seen last year how great these guys can be together. Of course, it's not the exact same lineup we had from last year, and it's because it's under a new org as well. But if they've already beaten them in a best-of-1, they could easily might be able to do it in a best-of-3, right? They could easily might run around with the game, that first game, have that morale boost, might even throw off one of the Titan teams and could get an easy 2-0 if they put in that extra effort, right? So maybe the top teams will have to watch out for Era. I mean, maybe not. Maybe they might go 2 against them. They might just have a bad day, and that's that. But I feel as if they've already taken out 2 or 3, right? Showed that the gods can bleed. It's maybe something to be wary of at least. Maybe not worried about, but wary of. But that's our coverage I want to say here for Week 8, Weapon. I'll let you go one quick comment.
Just quickly want to say, I'm looking at the standings. if let's assume that each team that expected to win wins and expected to lose loses. If the standings stay the same, it'll be Weekend Warriors versus Era in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
That is about, I think, the best chance that Era can have. Because when I look at the strengths of this team, it's all bot side of the map, right? It's Sugo and Kaisto versus Mad Maxwell and Banish, who are classic XI team. I kind of give them a chance. Real shot.
And then what about Re-Fury though into either Toto or into Selfish? Yeah, that's the thing. So you got one great matchup, but you've also got a rough matchup. So it's like we'll have to. I think that would be a great match all round, right? Because you'll see the strengths and weaknesses of all lanes. I think it'd be one to watch out for. But I think we had ourselves a little bit. Of course, we've got one more week of play before we get to that, and let's talk about that a little bit, guys. Here, first off, the current standings at the end of week number 8. We'll get it out of the way and done with. Let's rip that bandit off straight away. Exile are eliminated out of their chances to get into the finals. Their final game here is a bye anyway, so their Split 1 season is over and done with. So first off, I want to give a big congratulations to the Exile guys. Of course, another brand new org joining us here to the circuit that did put on a fantastic showing for us in the early season, I want to say. Definitely shocking and surprising. Not just us, but a lot of you guys at home. I remember even the first week, the Twitch chat going off when they saw the Exile game. They weren't expecting them to go off as they did. Of course, unfortunately, they did have a bit of a dip as the season went on. But as we mentioned, we know they've got a great coaching staff behind them now. They're definitely going to be big contenders, I want to say, coming into Split 2 with these coaches as well. When we'll have to see how they develop in the off-season now. Hopefully, they'll watch over the finals games and see if they can take out the weaknesses of some of these other teams going into the Split 2 season. But that's it for Exile. But we still have 8 teams here. 2 teams are out so far for the Split 1 season. We have 8 teams still here with only 6 spots available. ZYZZ, QT, Tigers, and the Weekend Warriors at the end of week 8 are all tied up for that 6 and 2. Again, I don't want to say it's entirely surprising, but after the season we saw with QT and Weekend Warriors, now see ZYZZ tied up with the 2 first place Titans here is insane. Going into the final week that we have a 3-way tie for first place, that we might still even have a tie by the end of week 9. We'll have to wait and see. Desire sneaking into that 5 and 3 in 4th place because they had their bye last week. They've got a great match coming up this week. Desire were definitely one of the teams that started. I don't want to say low tier. I don't want to say mid tier. They're kind of somewhere in between. But Arkano's lineup that he's had built around him have obviously been putting in the work. Sneaking in and securing that 4th spot that I want to say MCOM had held on to for so long. Those guys are going to be cheering back at home base. And we're keen to see them how they'll do in the final week. And then MCOM and Era both tied up here for 5th place, both 4 and 4. They're going to be going at it for the final match that we'll talk about in just a short moment for the week number 9 and for the whole season before we get to the finals. Whichever team wins here, this could determine who gets into the top 6 and who doesn't. So it's going to be a huge matchup between these guys. And of course, finally, the Weeknight Warriors and Dissonance both here at 3 and 5. And while they both have 2 separate games, one against Desire, one against ZYZZ, these guys not only have to both take out a win here, they might have to hope that one of the other teams fumbles as well, and seeing if one of these guys can get that final 6th spot as well. We're going to have still some big ties coming into it by the end of the week. Now, there's some tiebreakers that are absolutely going to have to be sorted. But lads, this is what I'm saying. This is officially the closest season of the circuit we've ever had, all the way back from 2017, all the way back from the beginning of 2018, I want to say, up till now. It's the closest and probably even the best circuit we've ever seen.
You would know. You're the grandpa of the group, right?
Yeah, it's true. It is true.
So I want to steal the first bit here and say that it's ridiculous how. So we're coming up to the final week now. In so many competitions, you get to the final week and half of the playoffs has been locked in. But technically speaking, nothing is certain yet for most of these teams because, for example, we still don't know who's going to get 1st and 2nd place because, of course, 1st and 2nd get a bye into the semifinals. So between ZY, Tigers, and Weekend Warriors, there's going to be a fight to get your bye. And obviously who falls into 3rd has to fight their way through. Desire is safe, but then it's a knife fight for who gets those final 2 slots because MCOM and Era, they verse each other on Monday. So one of them will get the safety. Whoever wins basically gets the safety 5th slot, and there's a 3-way knife fight in the back alley for 6th place. Like, because Weekend or Dissidents, if either of them win it, they get to enter the alleyway for the knife fight. Whoever loses between MCOM and Era has to get involved in that knife fight as well. Like, it is a scrap fest where basically MCOM and Era are praying that Weekend and Weeknight and Dissidents lose both of their games so that they can secure so our top sixes doesn't change. But then the top ends have to fight who gets the buy. It's an absolute knife. Everyone is getting a knife, a grenade, a trident, and they're appearing in the back alley ready to fight. It's just ridiculous.
Oh God. I mean, I love these sort of setups where it gets to the point where everything's so close, and then your positioning depends on how other games are being played. Like, it's like it's not in your hands anymore. I mean, you can play your game to the best of your ability, but you're really betting on another team to win for you. Like.
Yeah, that's the coolest part about this, I think, is like every single result that we're looking at here has the potential to be spoiled by something else. Even that first game between QUT and Weeknight Warriors, Weekend Warriors, that's going to happen all split. It's been happening all split. But whoever wins that potentially buys themselves that first place spot, but can be spoiled by the result of the second game, and so on and so forth. There's so many knock-on effects from these games if the results don't go according to plan, even if they do. So we're going to see a lot of tiebreakers, like either way. And when the dust settles, we're going to have a very, very interesting playoff bracket with a lot of teams who have demonstrably taken games off each other at different points throughout the split. We can't say what the power level of these teams are going to be, and even the power level of the teams are going to be heading into best of threes. We could just have a bunch of best of one gods on our hands, and maybe they fall in BO3. We just don't know.
We've seen that before, right? We've seen that before in the past, so it could definitely happen here. But yeah, Old Man Baz is very excited, guys. Yes, he's excited for 5 years of Summoner Society and the Invitational Circuit. What was that?
You have your heart medication on hand.
Yeah. I mean, I was just drinking too much soft drink, so maybe not at this point, but we'll see what happens. I want to bring up probably a major point as well is that yes, we're here for the final week. There's a certain Oceanic Pro League for League of Legends that has just wrapped up and just finished recently. And now that they're kind of on the off season, they might be interested in seeing what some of the talent below them, just below them, is doing at the moment, and seeing what some of the teams are doing. Basically, there might be a lot of pro players, a lot of pro teams, a lot of pro casts who might be watching the last couple of weeks here for some of this invitational circuit. So not only do you have the pressure, of course, being live stream, we've got hundreds of people watching, all the pressure that comes into that, but now the players you're trying to fight for could also be scouting you out in this matchup as well. So it's going to be big. It's going to be a doozy here to wrap up the final week for the Split 1 2021 season of the Invitational Circuit. Let's show you this matches coming up here for week number 9 as well. We, of course, brought it up a couple of times now. Game 1 kickoff will be the QT Tigers taking on the Weekend Warriors. This is a matchup that has been in the build-up all season long. We've all been hanging out for, all been super excited to see where this one goes. And now it's time to finally decide, is formal correct or is midnight correct? We'll have to wait and see on which one we'll take one out there.
Can I retract my vote now just for safety reasons?
You already said 2 weeks ago that we can take out the whole thing.
Oh,
so you're already well past that point, man. Game 2 with the Weeknight Warriors taking on ZYZZ. Definitely ZYZZ favored, but we can't count the Weeknight Warriors. They've definitely picked up some great wins recently, and of course, hopefully with the practice with the Weekend Warriors and with the Weekend Warriors game against ZYZZ just the week before, we'll have to be able to give Weeknight Warriors, the extra oomph needed to maybe get a final sneaky victory here out from under ZYZZ. Game 3, again, it's going to be a huge one here between Desire and Dissonance. Dissonance clawing and throwing dirt and sand and kicking some of the nuts, still trying to get themselves into the top 6 spot. But Desire, like we mentioned, 5-3, have had a fantastic season. They're definitely one of these upstart teams that they might be from a certain place that we've done that bit so many times now. I think I can throw that one in the bin. You get the idea. But with Akano's lineup behind him, could he potentially look? I mean, they're going to secure one of those 6th place spots, but can they do it with a final win on their belts here for week number 9. And finally, again, probably the other biggest matchup here. Not only at the top end, but the low end final matchup here between Era and MCOM. Both these guys have had fantastic. I was like, MCOM has had a fantastic season. Era had a fantastic season, taking out some of the top Titans as well. And these guys essentially batting it out for what could potentially be the final qualifying spot here for the top 6 finals for the Split 1 Invitational Circuit of the 2021 season. So, early action kickoff will be from 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, of course. No longer on daylight savings time there, so ignore the daylight savings part there. But of course, tune in straight away an hour beforehand from 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Times. Of course, you get to see a bit of this episode that I'm currently doing here for League Down Under, and of course, all the action at the pre-show as well. We'll cover a little bit more of the info going into that final week. Of course, the final news and updates going into the final week of our Split 1 season, guys. And I'll check you guys. What's your match of the week here? What do you think is going to be the match to watch out here for week 9? I've done a lot of coverage, a lot of this here. I think I know the option Midnight's going to choose. I think I know the option that Tico's going to choose, but I'll check it out to you guys anyway. What do you think is going to be, I guess, the best matchup here? I mean, there's so many good ones to watch.
It's pretty obvious, so let's ask Weapon first. Well, it's obvious for me and Midnight, so...
You might be wrong there.
Oh, okay.
Versus Weekend Warriors. Absolutely can't wait to see what has felt like the 2 best teams of this circuit clash. The Weekend Warriors, even though they're a little shaky, they've this project has been strong, and I'm using that branding over and over again because I think that's what they are. The Weekend Warriors feel like they're a team who are putting in the work week in, week out. Pun not intended. They have support staff. They know what they're doing, and I think this team's going to keep getting better and better. And we were talking about this before. I just want to quickly slip this in. I can't wait to see the day in the LCO when we have a team that's literally just made up of ex-Weekend Warriors.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
It's going to happen.
It's happening, yeah.
Fury, Jungle Man, a Jack Valiant top. I think he's already in there, isn't he?
It wouldn't surprise me at this point.
Yeah. And then either Vendrick or Mad Maximo and Banish. It's conceivable, right? It's definitely seeable. You can see it.
Tico, I want you to go next purely because I want to keep mine to the last because I want to catch people by surprise.
Well, I mean, there's no point in trying to throw a spanner in the works here. Everyone's assumed it so far. I think it's the MCOM game.
Didn't see that one coming.
Oh my god! Oh, where did it come from? Yeah, no, I've really been backing MCOM, even though I'm I'm not associated with them anymore. I still put a lot of faith in the fact that I know how they're structured. Even though they might be a mid-tier team, they still have the support staff, maybe not as big as Weekend and Weeknight, but they still have the capacity to, win their games, move up into the elimination rounds, and maybe win.
So there's a curse already done.
Yeah, that's a curse.
I'm sorry. I put so much faith in them.
Did you not learn from Midnight?
Hey, I'm not
Fuck's
Midnight.
sake, man. Doesn't matter. Cast is we can't just be this team's gonna win the
Sorry.
whole thing.
Sorry.
Guys, you can't say things. What are we doing?
We're not allowed to talk, guys. I'll go my one. And I'm willing to bet that none of you guys are going to... All of you guys who assume I'm going to say Weekend Warriors, aren't you? For my match of the week.
No, you're going to say Desire versus Dissonance.
Wrong.
It's the Weeknight game.
No, I'm actually saying MCOM and Era as well. And my reasoning isn't because I don't particularly mind who wins. But what I care about is the impact that whoever wins this game, it's so important because whoever wins between MCOM and Era basically decides the difference between 5th place and 6th place. Now, that on the standings when we hit finals is actually so damn important because that decides whether if you hit that 6th place slot, whether you have to deal with basically the Weekend Warriors or QUT or ZY, you're going to have to deal with one of those teams if you come in 6th place. And that is not a prospect that I think anyone wants to deal with early on into a finals run. While 5th place, you've got Desire, who I think is a lot less fearsome compared to the 3 other teams you'd have to deal with. So if nothing else, the winner of this game gets an easier run into finals, in my opinion. And that's why it's such an important game for me. We're
going down to the wire, gentlemen, for the final week here. So Make sure you tune in. Again, it's been a fantastic season. You can catch all the VODs available over on our YouTube or Twitch. There's so many awesome matches that have happened this season as well. So really keen to see how this season will wrap up as we get to the finals. And hope you guys tune in. Remember, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, of course. This coming Monday as of the recording, so the 19th of April. And, of course, if you're watching this in the future, well, that doesn't matter. You can hopefully just check out the VOD and hopefully enjoy the action that happened for that final week. But, guys, it's... what's that one?
How far into the future are you watching this, by the way? Like, do we have jetpacks yet?
Hover cars?
If you're watching that far into the future, I'd be slightly concerned.
No, what's happened is someone has fallen into like the ultimate YouTube like rabbit hole. Somehow found this podcast and thinking to themselves in like the year 3120, like, what the hell are these guys talking about? What the hell's a League of Legends?
Man,
probably like, this is what they had before League of Legends 4. Like, wow.
I think League of Legends 2 at this point. Come on, give them some credit. If you're in the year 3000, whatever the fuck was just said, and you're watching League Down Under, you gotta do something in your life, man.
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
You gotta find yourself a partner, man. You gotta. Hopefully, in that year we've got 2D girls in real life, so you can do that. That'd be cool. Let's just go to the next segment, guys. We're already done, and this segment is gonna make us even more done because now I finally have to say the segment name.
Yes.
I'm kind of debating about just not saying it.
No, you gotta say it.
You gotta say it.
Okay, they say I have to say it, but it's my show, so
You're
I mean,
contractually obligated to say it.
I don't have a contract. You know, I just have to do the show. You know, it's my show. You know, I'm just like, yeah, I've got League Down Under. Don't know why. Don't know why I have it. Don't know why I still want to do it. Don't even know why people care about it. But get your quotes, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be a great penalty game, hopefully coming up as well that you guys look forward to. So we're going to work those out. I'm definitely not delaying me saying this. But you've got to get the penalty game sorted as well. We do have them going to be sorted very, very shortly. And fuck's sake.
I love how Tico is just staring so intensely at the camera, just waiting for you to say it.
The more I don't say it, the harder it's getting to say.
It's so stupid. Like,
Just
It
rip
really
the band-aid off.
we windmill slammed that name so quickly.
I was
I know,
so proud.
and that's why I hate it. I don't want to say it.
That is the power of having two singular brain cells and having them work together. That's what came up with this name. It was
Alright,
brilliant.
ready?
Yep.
Who's that Quotémon?
Hey!
That's the name of the show. No emotion, no FF. That's about as much as you deserve.
I regret nothing.
The fucking idiots here have chosen 3 champion quotes, jokes, or taunts specifically, which you'll have to try and guess which champion it comes from. Pretty straightforward, of course. Whoever gets the most losses will end up having a punishment game lined up, ready to go. We've got one if Weapon wins, which would hopefully, that'd be very exciting to see that one. Honestly, I'm keen for that one. But the winner will decide whatever the game is. We don't have a set one for the others yet. We'll figure it out as we go along. But like I said, the guys here have chosen 3 different quotes each. We'll go in order of the usual order. So Tico first. I know where my hands are at. Tico, Weapon. My hand disappears, but Ewan. So there you go. So Tico, kick us off here with your first quote. Of course, I'm not involved in this. I just get to watch the carnage now.
Okay.
Now that I've just suffered my cringe, I get to write.
Okay.
Enjoy.
So, the first quote of the day is, "Oh, hello, bird. What little wisps have you..." Oopsie.
I think
I
I know
didn't
that one.
realize that saying these jokes out loud are not only gonna kill them, gonna be
Yeah.
so bad.
I'm like 80% certain I know what this champion is.
Okay.
So, Weapon, do you have an idea? Because I'll let you go first, because I think I'm pretty confident in my answer.
Mine is just going to be a punt, and I'm going to go with Ivern.
I think it's a Lilia. Because Lilia has a bird on her, like, animations.
That makes sense. Yeah, you're
So
probably
I'm going to
fair
assume it's her sneezing on the bird.
Yep. No, Midnight's right. That one is Lilia.
Obscure knowledge, let's go!
Yeah, okay.
What? Why do you?
Why do I know that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why I know that she has a bird on her, but she does.
All right, let me just add that to the score, I guess. Like, Midnight Cast. Imagine having name as Midnight Cast. Ironically,
I love
1
the
and 0.
professionalism this man has. He's so dedicated to everything he does, every single bit.
Yep.
I don't.
you
I
also
can't.
really
See, the thing is,
love-
I can't function in the real world. But when it comes to League of Legends, there's nothing I can't figure out.
What's your rank again?
Go next. Go next. Go next.
I mean, you're the one saying stuff like this. I mean, I'm just saying,
Tico, whatever you do, please do not screenshot an image of my rank right about now, please.
Let's just say the man's got his macro down. He doesn't have his micro.
He plays a lot of Nasus. So,
Yeah.
am I going next? Are we doing?
Yeah,
any-
you're
Yeah.
going
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
Cool. So my first one is cool out squirt.
What?
Say
Cool
again?
Out. Wait, what?
Cool out squirt.
Cool out squirt.
Yep.
I'm leaving that one alone.
Cool out squirt.
You've just broken them.
I-
By saying 3 words.
I've got
Fantastic.
one guess, but I don't think it's right in any capacity. I'm gonna guess Talia, but I got no idea.
That would probably make sense if it was a skin one, but I think we
Yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't think of anyone who would actually say that.
not Talia.
I'm thinking Nami.
I've got,
Ding ding ding.
Hey!
I didn't even think about fish.
No, you
It
gotta
is.
think water. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is specifically Nami's taunt when she's taunting a Fizz.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't
yeah,
know. I
fair
don't
enough.
play Nami and I
Fair
don't play
enough.
Fizz.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a fucking Mastery 7 on Nami, and I not a clue. Not a... Jesus. Okay. All
I
right.
hate the term, but I'm gonna say it. You have the most ego champion pool. Like,
Honestly, I do.
Alright.
Nami, Janna, Poppy, who else?
That's-
Lulu. No, okay. I do balance. I do play a lot of Thresh as well. Come on, I'll balance it.
I will just say, like, if like people meme on like the whole like ego, like sit back and do nothing champions. They have never played with the league artist. Some people don't know, Katie the Doormat. She plays a lot of like enchanter supports. Plays like an absolute fucking lunatic. Playing AD carry with her is like being on a fucking roller coaster. She is running forward, igniting the enemy, shielding herself, trading on cooldown. I'm just like, "Ah!"
How do I get off this ride? Send help!
Yeah, and then the enemy support is playing Yumi.
Yeah, she is like a fucking.
That's
She doesn't
terrifying.
play League anymore. She's all Valorant. She just
Ah.
gets salty.
Okay.
Hedgehog.
Alright. Here's my one. I hope this one's not too difficult.
Okay.
I mean, did you hear the last one? I mean,
Yeah,
I
true.
think you're fine at this point.
Replicating lifeform entertainment routine.
Vel'Koz.
Is it Vel'Koz? Because I was going to guess Vel'Koz.
Yeah, it's Vel'Koz.
Oh,
Damn.
I hope this one isn't too.
I may have gone a bit too easy for the
Alright,
first
well,
one.
I
buddy,
guess-
Captain.
I guess you both get scores.
what do you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
No,
yeah.
weapon.
You got it.
You gotta go rotation.
You both
Yeah.
got it correct.
Yeah, but he
they
said it
both got it.
after me.
Yeah, no. I'll pay it. Kiko said it first.
Yeah, we go in order anyway. So
Alright,
My
I
point.
guess that's how we're doing it.
You're both getting a point.
okay.
Yeah, I'm with that.
okay.
We're both
Okay.
getting-
I'm
we both
fine
got
with
it
that. I'm
right.
okay with that.
If
So
you
Megan,
got the answer correct, you get the point. Those are the rules. We can't
Okay.
just be like, no, that guy got it first, so fucking you can't do that one because you just hurry up. Next
That's
Okay.
putting flashbacks to front.
It's fine. I'm fine giving myself a challenge. Okay, so the next quote is, ugh, I missed a freaking cliff diving trip for this crap.
Samira.
Oh. What?
Midnight, what was yours?
I genuinely don't know.
Ugh, I
Like,
missed
I
a
feel it's
freaking cliff diving trip for this crap.
like I feel like it would be cheap to copy what Weapon said because Weapon was obviously confident, but I genuinely have no idea. Would it be cheating to say Samira just to copy Weapon? I feel like that's cheating.
I
So I got
you
no
can
idea.
do it if you don't know it.
Yeah, I would say I have no idea. Like I would guess Samira, but because Weapon said it as well.
Well, if you don't know what it is, guess another champion then.
I missed a cliff drive. Who's an adrenaline junkie in League? I'll go Talia again.
Midnight's got it wrong. Okay, it's weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was-
Samira.
How good is
Don't
Samira?
play Samira.
How did you know that? That's a response taunt.
Yeah, I play Samira. She is great.
Wow.
Samira's
Very nice. Very nice.
yeah,
Not-
Surrounded by nerds.
yeah. Imagine like knowing stuff about the game.
Imagine knowing Imagine knowing response voice lines to another voice line. Jesus Christ.
This one is actually going to be nasty. It is another response.
Oh, for God's
So
sake.
good. Actually, no,
okay.
it's not a response. It's an initial taunt, but
Yeah.
the character. The mind is the weapon. You are unarmed.
The mind is the weapon. Okay, I think I'm like 80% certain I know who it is
Okay.
based on that.
It's savage though, right?
Yeah, I like it. If it is who I think it is, it's very appropriate.
Hold on. It's someone intelligent. No, okay. So the person that is
I'm sorry, the way you said that just killed me. Like, thank you, intelligence.
the person.
It's someone smarter than me.
Yeah, 100%. But like,
This is like you. Holy shit.
okay, let me thought process this. Okay, so if they think they're intellectually better than the person they're taunting, so logically they think they're smart. Heimerdinger is too nice for that sort of taunt. Could be something Vel'Koz says. Who else is an intellectual champion?
We putting a timer on this?
Yeah,
No.
can we get a timer?
No, I'm just waiting for him to get to it. There's like
But I'm on the right path, aren't I?
Victor. He's pretty smart.
Yeah,
you know.
Victor's a good one. You know what?
Dr. Mundo, he's a doctor, so
Yeah.
clearly he's smart.
Okay. Well, I've locked in
Come
my
on, he's a great-
champion, so
I feel
Midnight
like
go.
the Overcat, I mean,
So
cadence with which I
Who did you
deliver.
say, Tico?
Oh, you're first anyway, so
I'm gonna go Swain.
I'm gonna go Victor. Yeah, fair enough.
The master. He's the master tactician.
And
Like his whole thing is he's gonna outsmart you before you've realized you've been outsmarted.
he just has some of the best lines in the game. And
He's
some
a,
of
he's a savage arsehole. I love him.
good, like the one where he's like, I've heard what they call me. What a waste of their final words.
Nah.
I love that quote. You should have used that quote. I would have never figured that out if you used that. Was a brilliant quote. Oh, I love that.
Beautiful.
Alright. Rage
Just for
Burn.
reference, you guys are all at 2-0 right now.
Ah, nice.
Oh, nice recovery.
Well, I say 2-0, but I'm not marking if you get one wrong. So just you're all at 2.
Yeah.
2. Yep.
All right. Rage burned away all that was good in you, my brother.
Oh,
Dude.
Renekton.
Easy. It's Nasus.
It's Nasus.
Oh,
Renekton's the brother getting taunted. I gave you a freebie.
Come
You
on,
yeeted it
dude.
into a wall.
Oh, dude.
Just give him a minute. Just give him a minute. Just give him a minute.
You
Oh,
were
that's
so
rough.
confident.
That's so rough. Oh yeah, no, it's connected. No.
Like technically, it's Nasus taunting Renekton, so Renekton's in there. But
It was like, no talk to me, I Angie.
don't talk to me. I beg.
Oh, God.
okay, let's just move on from that one.
Yeah. Goddamn.
Okay, so this count is my third and final one. I've got friends in high places.
Shit, I actually have heard that one before.
I've got friends
know.
in high places.
Oh shit, I think I actually know that one. Shit.
Ooh, who's the
think
nerd
I-
now?
I think I actually
that one's so old. Like that's a really old. That's only the reason why I know it.
I've got a 50-50 quote on that one. I think I know it, but I'm not certain.
It's Quinn.
Yeah, I thought it was Quinn.
No.
Yeah, Quinn as well is what I was thinking.
Ah.
It feels like a Quinn thing.
It is a Quinn thing, talking about valor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Also, it's you. The second I hear something about high and birds, I know it's Quinn.
But it
It's
wasn't.
you.
It didn't say bird. But yes,
Yeah, but
yes,
high
it is Quinn.
places, it's
Fair. No,
it's-
that's
yeah,
fair. That is
it's
fair.
gonna be Quinn.
If I know it, it's too easy. Let's just put that. If I know what, like if I have a feeling I know what it is, you got to try again. Like that's.
I mean, I can't talk. I've had really bad quotes. One's got my quotes like instantly.
Yeah.
All right.
Except for Tico. Go
Except
on.
for T.
Come on.
I feel like this one's going to lower the bar a little bit, probably a bit too easy, but it's what do I have someone in my teeth?
Oh,
Uh,
I got this. Do we? Oh, do you not know Tico?
second. Yeah, Tico's
Hold on,
second.
Yeah, I'll
hold
let
on,
Tico go for his answer.
He's really working that think tank right now. It's 110%.
See, it makes me think of Outback Renekton because he's picking his teeth, but I'm gonna go with another champion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hit it.
Midnight.
Who are you going to go for?
No, you go first.
Oh, I think it's Renekton.
I think it's Cho'Gath.
Well, I should rephrase it. I know it's Renekton.
Oh.
I play enough Renekton to hear, what? Have I got someone in my teeth? And he does the animation where he lies down the ground and slithers like an asshole.
How did you play the voice line? Then?
I spoke.
Oh wow, that was amazing.
I've got, dude. I can do some pretty decent voices. You should hear my at the end when we do
I mean,
a final quote.
I'm
I'll show you my
fucking-
fiddlesticks quote.
Okay.
I'll show you my fiddlesticks voice. It's great. That's just their disapproving. All right.
This fucking guy.
For the audio listeners, I'm shaking my head right now.
All right. Final quote of the day.
Ugh.
Screaming won't do you any good, but it's music to my ears.
Oh, I've heard this one.
I've heard that one as well, actually.
Oh,
It's the quote that made me fall in love with a particular champion. Which is why I kind of I had a moral obligation to pick this guy. Or girl. Dun dun dun.
Like, surely Fiddlesticks.
yeah. It sounds like fiddlesticks, but like it's too.
Screaming is music to my ears.
Screaming won't do you any good, but it's music to my ears.
Same thing.
It could be
Velcon?
Fiddlesticks, Zed.
No, not Zed.
Who's more edgy champions?
Zion.
Yeah,
So what do I guess?
Darius.
Oh! Thresh.
Yeah, it could be Thresh.
Oh, yeah.
Could be Thresh.
Yeah, so that's my pick, Thresh.
It's Thresh. It's Thresh, brother.
I feel like it's Thresh.
It's Thresh.
It is indeed the chain warden.
Hey.
You know the funny part is, gave that one out for free, but guess what, gentlemen? The quote, who's that Quotémon is finished. It wasn't Pikachu. It was Weapon.
Hey, nice. But
So there you go. So it's close. It's all it's a weapon, just not the Pikachu weapon. It's just
I am that Quotémon.
the definition, literally weapon. Congratulations, you get to do your Quen thing now that you wanted to do. It's a punishment game, and Tico gets to join you on your
yay!
So let's go through the score. So Weapon got 5 of them, Midnight got 4, and Tico got 3.
Renekton!
So literally the Renekton call. If you didn't do that, you would have tied up with Midnight. Would have had to have a tiebreaker, but because you were so overconfident being wrong, you're gonna get 3.
I lost.
Sorry, Tico, but
I lost 2 points to 2 Renekton
did.
quotes,
You did. You did.
and I had both of
What
them.
with the Renekton
I had
quotes?
both of them in my sights.
Yep. And you're like, nah, that's too easy. It's gonna be this one.
No, yeah,
Yeah, congratulations, you played yourself.
yeah.
So, Weapon, could you please explain to the audience at home what Tico now has to do that we're definitely going to get recorded sometime soon with the rest of the punishment game? Midnight, we haven't forgotten. Rhaegar, we haven't forgotten. So, Weapon, please.
Yeah, so as of this recording, Gwen has literally just released, and even though she's entirely my shit, I am very prepared to feed on her. So Tico will be accompanying me when I feed on her the first time in a ranked game. Your LP is forfeit.
The look of horror on his face as he realized it was a ranked game.
He's like, yeah, let's do it. This is going to be a funny ranked game. Fuck this, I'm out. I don't know.
One game. I'm only going to subject you to one game.
I'm doing so well in ranked as well.
Yeah, but your LP now belongs to
I'm
us.
on a win streak, man.
Okay, Tico, you could hard carry the game.
I could.
Yeah.
Like currently,
Didn't see that.
sorry, Weapon won't want to hear this, but currently, Senna support OP.
I believe it.
And Weapon has disconnected from the voice call and has Tico.
OP with Cho'Gath. Am I right, Baz? Am I right?
What Cho'Gath? Oh, absolutely. Cho'Gath is
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Cho'Gath's so good.
Okay.
I've not played him since we played him, but I'm only saving it for that. I don't play it with randos because they won't understand. The IQ is too much.
I once forced a rando to play it with me. They were so upset.
Oh god. Oh, to be fair, when I was playing earlier today, I was like, oh yeah, let's rank up. Oh wait, someone banned Gwen. Oh great, someone wanted to play Gwen, so they chose cleanse Ghost Janna to int mid lane. So that was the easiest dodge of my life. Thank you for watching episode 7 of League Down Under. We hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, after our 2-week break, we're hopefully going to go back to our regularly scheduled programming. So look forward to that in the future weeks, especially, of course, with the big final season coming up here for the Invitational Circuit, because, of course, League Down Under is an association and partnership with Summoners Society. So if you want to follow Summoners Society, keep up to date with the latest news and updates regarding, of course, the circuit, the other cool events, community events, and other live streams that you guys would like to check out and be a part of. You can do so by joining the Facebook group, by joining the Twitter account, of course, SumSockOC, at SumSockOC, I should say there, and join the Discord group as well, the Discord server. There's plenty of people there, tons and tons of awesome community action always happening on the Discord server. So go check that out if you want to be interested in part of Summoner Society's activities. And of course, you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that's where you can see the VOD, of course, here for League Down Under. If you like to watch us make clowns of ourselves and be the whole circus for you guys. And of course, follow the Twitch as well, so you can see when the circuit goes live. Absolutely fantastic series that we've brought up so many times here so far tonight. So make sure you tune in for that. Of course, time this recording will be this upcoming Monday on the 19th. So go check that out. And it's going to be absolutely fantastic. You guys definitely do not want to miss that. And of course, we're going to be on our official Spotify as well for League Down Under. We have all of our audio episodes up. So if you prefer to listen to it on the way to work, on the way to uni, or what have you, you can also do that as well and have a great laugh on the way and not be bored by just usual boring radio when you got the boys here. And of course, the other lads have been with us for League Down Under. Of course, that's Spotify, that's Apple Podcasts, that's Breaker, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public. Hope you enjoyed one of those services that we are on. So big thanks to you guys, you lads, for being on here once again for League Down Under. I mean, Tico, you're contractually obligated once again, so you don't really have a choice. Weapon just loves being here. We literally can't get rid of him. It's actually impossible, I think, at this point. And Midnight got his foot surgery done. Whatever he said happened. He was actually sending another curse up to Weekend Warriors so they can lose the whole split one season. Thank you guys for watching. We hope to see you guys for this upcoming circuit on the 19th, or if not, for the next episode of League Down Under. So, till then, guys.